And we welcome you to Power Rankings, presented by the long-lasting power of Energizer.
Still going.
It is our championship Sunday submission led by the fearless forecaster, three-time champ of the Bassmaster Classic. You got nothing on the old Zeuser, Kevin Van Dam. Sorry. He is the author of Power Rankings that you love to consume over there on NFL.com/Power Rankings. It's Dan Hanzus. Happy Championship Sunday week, Mr. Zeus.
I love it.
Guy.
And, love the Power Rankings, hate them. You can't deny them, Matt Money Smith.
Well, let's get a look, Dan, at your final four in order, 1 through 4. Here they are, the defending champ, Kansas City Chiefs atop the rankings. They will play the Bills, the Packers, number 2. No surprise, it's the two teams that got the bye, or perhaps you are surprised. The two teams that got the bye atop the rankings. And why don't we get started with the Chiefs? Obviously, a huge question surrounding the availability of Patrick Mahomes, but why you kept him at number 1, Dan? I finally got you, by the way.
You got me. The Chiefs at number 1 did give me pause. Should I keep them there? Because they very nearly get picked off in the divisional round by the underdog Browns. But you know what? At the same time, this is a champion gut check game. Patrick Mahomes goes out with an injury in the third quarter, and the wheels are coming off when Chad Henne throws that ugly interception. And then what do? The defense gets the big stop midway through the fourth quarter. And then when the Chiefs get it back, Chad Henne behind center. Andy Reid don't care. He gets aggressive, and they get it, as you can see here, an iconic play in Chiefs playoff history to seal out the game and break the Browns' heart. So, yes, not a dominant effort, but one that really showed championship mettle.
Yeah, I mean, just that laser from Henne. And look, Andy Reid stayed aggressive. And I do think there is something to players believing they're going to win a game, that there is something to that. Instead of expecting the other shoe to drop and, oh boy, we're up 5 and now the Browns have the ball. It was a great run, but we don't have Patrick. That's just not the case with this Andy Reid team. You heard Tyrann Mathieu say it after the game, Tyreek Hill say it after the game. They ran the heck out of the ball with Darrell Williams when the Browns were trying to keep everything in front of them like so many teams do. And what did? They gashed them. They were balanced. The interesting thing, as we flip it over the Bills side, is they know a little something about that, right? Because they gashed the Bills for 245, 161 of those coming from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as we try to figure out how the Bills now fit in to this equation of how they're going to approach trying to slow down the Chiefs, how they want to attack the Chiefs defense, because the plays were there, obviously, and we don't have to rehash the worst rule in all of football. And the fact that Kevin Stefanski was not shy to say, we coached that out of our players, take the first and goal, and who knows how this thing could have played out. And that's something the Browns fans likely will be lamenting for an awfully long time. But on to the Bills.
Yes, the Bills, I drop them one spot. But again, now we're talking about the 4 best teams in football, so don't put too much into that. At the same time, give credit to the defense. Leslie Frazier's defense, which we haven't been talking about during this rise to superpower status for Buffalo. It's all been about Josh Allen and Brian Dable. But on a windy day, windy night in Orchard Park, it was that defense that flummoxed Lamar Jackson, held them to 3 points, and of course, the big play, the Teron Johnson pick 6, which was basically, when you look at it, a 14-point swing in a game that was final score 17-3. So showed you some balance from Buffalo. I drop them a little bit money because we haven't seen that top flight Buffalo game that we were seeing throughout December. They've been outgained by their opponent in both their playoff wins. So I drop them down a tick, but I still believe in the Bills.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm not ready to tip the cap to Leslie Frazier, just for 2 reasons, right? One, the Titans had the worst defense in the playoffs, and they were able to contain the Ravens' offense for the most part. And 2, the Colts wrecked them. So, the Week 6 game, this is the one thing I'll say, though. I think the Week 6 game against the Chiefs gives them a little advantage. We can't do that. We can't play to keep everything in front of us, because the Chiefs got us for 245 yards, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire got them for 161. They had 15 minutes more in time of possession. Mahomes was a crazy efficient 80% passer, 225 and 2 easy touchdowns. So I think at least that lets Leslie Frazier know, okay, we tried this. They didn't score 40 on us, but their 9 drives consumed 15 more minutes than ours, and there just wasn't enough clock for us to get the win. So for me, you got to run the ball, even if it's with Josh Allen. He led him in rushing in that game. Just pull out all the stops. Run the heck out of the ball with Josh Allen and try to take advantage of that secondary as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
I want to know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be playing in this game because we haven't seen him in almost a month. And money, you can't even tip your cap to Leslie Frazier. Like that's such a hard thing to do. You can't even doff the cap.
I'm saying,
not even a doff, a tip.
I am saying 2 missed field goals from Justin Tucker, a bad interception thrown by Lamar Jackson. He had a bad interception against the Titans. I think there are issues clearly with that Ravens offense. So yes, all right, fine. I will. You know what I'll do? I'll give him this.
Not a doff.
There you go. I'll give him that. Now I'll go.
Okay.
All right. I see you, Leslie. I see you, Coach. All right. To the Packers.
The Packers, their offense, it's just impossible. If you're trying to stop the Packers offense, when you have the running game that they do, they run the ball with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams on Saturday with ease. And then you have Aaron Rodgers, the MVP, an all-time legend, playing at the peak of his powers in an offense that's perfectly catered to his skill set. And by the way, I don't think Matt LaFleur gets enough credit for, in his 2 seasons there, building out an offense that plays at this level. It's just so fun to watch. And I know the Rams were without Aaron Donald, really, at least the Aaron Donald that we know. But to shred the Rams the way they did and still leave plays out on the field, money, that wasn't even a perfect Green Bay offensive performance, and yet almost 500 total yards.
Yeah, I mean, you had Aaron Rodgers overshooting a receiver wide open that would have gone for a touchdown, and Lazard, dropping a pass that would have gone for a touchdown. I think, what you hear about is the Shanahan offense. It's good with average quarterbacks. The last 2 NFC reps in the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff in this offense. This is what it looks like with a superstar. Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones are crushing. And you said it, that Rams #1 defense, they made history. They were the first team to allow 475-plus yards and 175-plus on the ground in playoff history. And that was the most dominant group that we had seen over the course of not 16, but you include the wild card round as well, 17 games. You said it. They could have scored 40. They could have scored 45. 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit. He was clean all game. And, I'll give a little to Mike Pettin there because the Rams offense has been terrible for how well the Packers defense played as well. Cam Akers had a couple of those breakout runs, but able to frustrate Jared Goff, get a bunch of sacks, bunch of quarterback hits, and just never really felt like the Rams had a shot. So
I give Pettin a schoolgirl curtsy.
Oh, you do? I can see. You know what? That actually is befitting of. Let's go to the Bucs. Let's weigh in on the Bucs. They knock off the Saints. They find themselves Tom Brady, 14th time. I saw you tweet about this. 14th time he will participate in a championship game.
That's stupid. When Joe Buck said it on Fox, I was like, oh, he just messed up. That's embarrassing for Joe Buck. No, but it's true. 14 conference championship games, obviously the first one in the NFC. And I'm thinking about it while I'm watching this game as Devin White leads an awesome Bucs defensive performance against the Saints, and White was everywhere in this game. Really a coming out performance for a future superstar in the league. Antoine Winfield, another great young talent. But it made me think Tom Brady finally gets to open free agency after 20 years, and he picks the perfect team. This loaded Bucs team that doesn't need him to be the GOAT every week. And he wasn't the GOAT this weekend. It was like a B- Tom Brady game, but he doesn't need to be elite peak Tom Brady when you have this great rounded team, and we saw it against the Saints.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit because we oftentimes hear about, you better take advantage of turnovers, right? And the fact that they were able to get 3 touchdowns off turnovers, I think spoke to that's what you have to have your quarterback do. I know the numbers weren't there, the stats weren't there, he missed some throws, but when you're able to get those extra opportunities like they were, it is demoralizing, deflating for your opponent when you cash those in for 7s. The O-line was exceptional. A single sack, 3 hits, never felt like Brady was under too much duress. The D feasted without any downfield threat. They just pressed. They played physical with those pass catchers all game. You do that against the Packers, though, that could bring some issues. But they were balanced. They had fresh legs. I know everybody wants to celebrate Brian Daboll for his, 75 passes and 3 rushes that scored them all of 10 points. Bruce Arians balanced it out, and they were able to run some clock and run that 4-minute offense, 35 rushes, 33 passes, fresh legs of Ronald Jones. I thought it was the most complimentary of all the games, that we saw over divisional weekend.
And just think about how far the Bucs have come since they were bottoming out going into their bye in early December. Now they win every single week, 2 wins in the playoffs already. You go from me sending out a stupid tweet back in December, Josh McDaniels, is he the head coach of the Bucs in 2021, to Hell no, Bruce Arians is great, and Tom Brady's great, and the offense is great, the defense is great, and they just might go to the Super Bowl.
Well, Josh McDaniels was in Florida when it came to coaching. He was just having a meeting with the Eagles for 10 or 12 or 17 hours or however long.
So many hours.
Cynthia Freeland is coming up with her Championship Sunday slopes, subsets, and sequences. And for us lay people, that means she'll apply math to the matchups. Next.
Hot ball, Chris Godwin, touchdown.
Yes, sir! Devontae's got it, end zone, touchdown!
It's intercepted. Sean Murphy Button.
Pump fakes once and again, takes it himself. He's in there.
Caught Mike Evans. There you go, Tom Brady.
Lassard's got it, and he's gone! The Packers with a dagger!
And the Buccaneers will head to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Caught by Diggs, and he goes into the end zone.
Slant cut, Kelsey dives into the end zone!
Touchdown! Karen Johnson goes 102 yards with an end zone interception.
4th down and inches. They caught Tyreek Hill, stays in bounds! The Kansas City Chiefs are going to advance in the AFC playoffs.
So it's time for Power Moves, presented by the long-lasting power of Energizer, and that's when we bring in the author of Axioms, our fountain of factors, the preeminent authority of predictive analytics in the football arena. It is Cynthia Freeland, along with a couple two-tree Championship Sunday mismatches. Cynthia, where would you like to start?
Well, first of all, I will send you your residual check for that amazing, lovely introduction. But I'm going to start this time with Stefon Diggs and the Chiefs secondary. The interesting part is that if you look to see the Chiefs secondary, they've been pretty banged up at the corner position. And Stefon Diggs, he's been pretty good, just the most catches in the regular season. He's also helped account for more separation this season for all of those receivers in general. So not just himself, but also Cole Beasley, also Gabriel Davis, everyone else in this receiving core having more space to catch the ball. So that's going to be interesting because the Chiefs have been pretty banged up, and that's going to be a key game-breaking play type of stop that they're going to need, and Tyrann Mathieu can't be everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like Stefon Diggs is in that elite group of wide receivers at this stage of his career where you could basically lock it up. He's going to have 6 to 8 catches, 100 to 150 yards, probably a touchdown. So beating the Bills means shutting down guys like Cole Beasley and Smoke Brown because you're not stopping Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I'll just quickly add, Cynthia, it's such a cliche, but there's a reason why it's a cliche, right? Championship players make championship plays. And you just feel like, yeah, that secondary isn't the greatest, but Tyrann Mathieu's special. He found a way to make a play, on Sunday. And you just feel like every single game, there's a pivotal moment where that guy raises his hand. And it almost overcomes all of the other issues they have in that particular unit. How about the NFC side?
Yeah, so if I look to see for the Packers, where they're really special is on first and second down. They're super balanced, right? They're able to run, they're able to pass, therefore play action works for them. All of their assets are available to them because they're really good on first down at making sure they don't give the ball away. In their wins, only 1 giveaway on early downs. In their losses, 4 giveaways on early downs. So if Tampa Bay and this Todd Bowles defense, if they're going to have a chance to kind of upset the apple cart here when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, they're going to have to make Aaron Rodgers be an uncomfortable third down. Uncomfortable third down situations where he's going to throw, where you don't have all of your options available to you. The play action isn't as obvious. Those are the types of things where if Tampa Bay is going to upset Green Bay, they're going to have to be really, really smart on first and second down.
Totally agree. And the Packers offense, it's such a smooth running machine right now. The only chance for Tampa is to get some gunk in the gears. I think Todd Bowles can do that.
Yeah, and I would say, the one thing you brought it up, Cynthia, but getting them off schedule, how do you do that? You stop the run. The Rams could not stop the run. They got absolutely gashed. And in that Week 6 matchup, what did they do? They held Aaron Jones to 15 yards on 10 carries, and that's how you got all those third and longs and those couple interceptions. So the best run D in the NFL this season is going to have to show down. Yeah, it's going to have a couple 2-tree stuffs to make those 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15s. Sure.
I don't speak Chicago money.
Check out. It's not hard. All you got to do is sound like an idiot. Your ma will tell you. Your ma and your pa. Be sure to visit NFL. And I can say that because I'm one of them. NFL.com/Freeland. This is all an act. Normally, if you hear me off camera, visit NFL.com/Freeland for a whole mess more of her methodology to help make sense of the oftentimes nonsensical. All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. We still have 3 of our 6, or of our 7, I should say, head coaching vacancies to be filled. It's expected to be Dan Campbell, though, for the Lions. So Texans and Eagles still looking for their head man. But Dan, born and raised, your father, Keith, a Jets fan as well. So let's start there. And your feeling as a Jets fan, born and raised, about the Robert Saleh hire.
Let me tell you something. Actually, 1 second.
Oh, boy. What's that there?
That's Joe Namath.
What's he wearing? Is he wearing like a fur coat? I've never seen that.
That's a fur coat on the sideline. And this man right here, 52 years it's been since the Jets have been to the Super Bowl when Joe Willie lifted the finger at the Orange Bowl. It's time for them to get this right. Enough. I mean, I'm now a man in my 40s, and I'm still waiting to see a Super Bowl with my team. And there he is, Robert Saleh. I mean, this guy is a 180 from the previous hire, Adam Gase, both in the way he approaches the game, the way the players respond to him, even his scheme. He's a defensive guy versus an offensive guy. I love the hire. And what else I love about it, Money? And I'm fanboying right here because as a Jet fan, it's been a pretty dark 10 years. So this feels like the light. He's a man that has good relationships. He's been in the league for a while, and he's starting to build out a really good staff. Mike LaFleur is offensive coordinator for example. That is very nice. You bring in the Kyle Shanahan system back in and give Sam Darnold, if it is Sam Darnold, a chance. 52 years, Money.
There it is.
52 years. It's time to do
nice
it right.
On that photo there, fanboy. One, love the hire. You saw what he was able to do. The guy lost 3/4 of his defensive line, half his secondary, and it was still a top 5 unit over the course of the season. Players rave about him. You said it. He's got great relationships across the board. The one thing I would say is, and I'm just going to preach caution, Joe Douglas has done a great job drafting thus far, right? Don't know what he's going to do with Sam Darnold. Does Saleh, do Mike LaFleur, do they want to try to take a shot at Darnold? Or if you can get a first-round pick from, let's say, Indianapolis, from San Francisco, do you take that? Do you draft Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at number 2? And then you just got to have that patience. Remember, this was a team that won 2 games that probably had, one of the 2 or 3 worst rosters in the NFL on paper. So I think people that think this is just a slap a salve on that wound and all is going to be well, you're going to be contending for the AFC East. I don't think that's the case. I think this is still probably, there's a reason why I got a 5-year deal. It's probably like a 2-3 year. If they're going to rebuild with a new quarterback, I think it may take a minute. So that's all I would say.
I don't think any Jet fan thinks we're going back to the Super Bowl next year, but perhaps with Douglas and Sal, there's a foundation being put in place. Now, Money, you are the voice of the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley is their new hire, the young former defensive coordinator of the Rams. What do you think about that move?
Well, I think, my initial feeling is he must have had a heck of an interview, because that's what we heard, is that this is one of the brighter, minds with great relationships, presented a vision and his approach, and that's what got him the gig. They did not want him to get out of the building. He had those interviews scheduled in Houston and in Philadelphia, and I'm sure as good as he was in those interviews, Tom Telesco and John Spanos probably said, okay, we let him go, he's going to get hired somewhere else. So let's just get a guy we're really comfortable with. He's described as the Sean McVay of defense. And by the way, how about this right here? My friend Forrest Lamp, the left guard for the Chargers, gave me his Forrest Lamp. So
that's literally a Forrest Lamp.
It is literally the Forrest Lamp from Lamps Plus from Forrest Lamp. And that's going to be, I think, probably priority number one. Well, no, priority number one is going to be getting a staff, right? And a lot of rumors about him bringing Kevin O'Connell over from the Rams. I don't know how that would work in terms of him being released as the OC to go as an OC for the Chargers. But I think if you get play calling, you might be able to thread that needle. And it goes back to what we said about Aaron Rodgers, right? Look at how good a great quarterback looks in this Shanahan offense. I know it was just 1 year, but my goodness, Herbert shattered every rookie record there was and had his team in games against Drew Brees, against Tom Brady, had a fourth quarter lead against Tom Brady, drove his team for a game-winning field goal against Drew Brees. I mean, those are two teams that were just playing in the divisional round. So I think the idea of pairing Staley with that system, and then you've got Jalen Ramsey, who was singing his praises of what he did with him and moving him around in that Rams defense and how dominant they were. That's going to go over great with Derwin James, right? As those two are very good friends from their Florida State days. So now the leader of your defense has that glowing recommendation from someone he's very close with. So very excited about that, and my Forrest Lamp.
There you go. It's a good hire, and it's funny the way the NFL is now. It's almost like having a lack of experience helps you, because it's the Sean McVay effect. You're willing to bet big that a guy turns into a star. And I just realized, did I get outset propped there in a big spot? I bring out Joe Willie in the fur coat, and then you have a literal Forrest Lamp in a big spot.
I think so. I don't think anyone would touch me with a Forrest Lamp.
Got me.
All right. What went wrong for the Saints, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Rams? Up next, for those that got the boot, we salute you.
Breeze in the gun, 2 receivers left and right. Breeze back to pass, has time, steps up in the pocket, drives it deep down the right side, pass is tipped, it's intercepted on the sideline. The pass got tipped up in the air, and it's picked off by Mike Edwards.
Third interception by Drew Brees, and you just, not the way you want to see Drew Brees going out.
Well, here you go, 5 through 8, as 4 teams eliminated in the divisional round. Saints, Ravens, Browns, and Rams is the order you put them in there, Dan. So let's just kind of do the obit, if you will, on the season, the 2020 to the 2021 playoff season for the Saints, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Rams. We'll start with New Orleans and your takeaway.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a run for Drew Brees. Legendary, what he's been able to do. But you look at what they've done since the 2009 season when they won the Super Bowl, to never get back to that game in these 11 years. And there's been some really good teams. There's been some bad luck in the playoffs, but also a lot of games like we saw this weekend disappointing. So, yeah, you would think it's time to explore a different path to the mountaintop, and we'll see how the offseason shakes out. But really disappointing because this team went all in 2020, and they have a lot of answers to figure out in this offseason.
Yeah, I think, and this is, I'm not trying to say I told you so. That's not the point of this, but we brought this up a few weeks back, and I said, look, the Saints they have found a way to lose games they should win. Games that they're ahead, every one of these losses has been at home, and this is the play. It's Jared Cook into Bucs territory. They're up 20-13, and he fumbles the ball, and instead of having a shot to go up 27-13, and just kind of getting that momentum of, okay, here we go. We know we've got this team's number. We can beat the Bucs. You get the punch-out fumble, the scoop, and it's a 14-point swing, potential 14-point swing. And everything changed from there, and whether it was the Rams and the non-call or the Vikings and the miracle throw or missed tackle, if you will, that to me was that play again with the Saints, unfortunately. And it's a shame because, like you said, it's a great roster that certainly had the ability to win a Super Bowl in each and every one of these years. And each and every one of these years, they've gone out disappointed. How about the Ravens?
Yeah, on the subject of 14-point plays,
yeah,
Lamar Jackson throws that pick six to Teron Johnson. It could be 10-3. It ends up 17-3. And that's the final score. And like you were saying with the Saints, sometimes when you get to this time of year, it's just executing better than the other team when it matters most. Justin Tucker, and I know the winds were swirling, he never misses 2 field goals. He misses 2 field goals, and Jackson has the huge pick six, and that's going to do it. When you're playing, when the competition is this good and the stakes are this high, you just got to be sharper, and the Ravens weren't sharp enough.
Yeah, look, I think the stat at the bottom of the screen tells you everything. Lamar Jackson's got to be better. That's it. I know everybody wanted to applaud him and celebrate him after the game against the Titans. That was the worst defense in the playoffs. And he threw 0 touchdowns and 1 pick. In the playoffs total, another 0 touchdown, 1 interception against the Bills. 170 passing yards on average, a 68 rating. And again, you've got to be able to balance it out. They're going to take away, when you get into this level of play, other teams are going to take away what you do best eventually. And that's what the Bills did. And, here we go. There's my head nod to Leslie Frazier for doing that. But I don't know if it's coach. I don't know what it is. I know we're going to get into it a little bit later. But to me, it's that simple. Lamar Jackson has got to be better. Now, could that game have changed if Justin Tucker makes those field goals? Sure. It changes the complexity, perhaps, if they're up 9-7 or if they're up 6-3, however that plays out. But I think clearly they need him to play at a higher level in the playoffs. To the Browns.
By almost any measure, the season was a huge success for the Browns. They won 12 games. They beat the Steelers in the postseason. This is an organization that seems to be on an upward trajectory. However, let's also remember in sports, you never can truly judge which team is on the rise and which team just had a golden opportunity that they're not going to get again. And I thought about that when the Browns had the ball down 5 points midway through the fourth quarter, and they go 1 first down and then a punt, and then they can't stop Chad Henne on the long scramble, and then the onion hanger by Andy Reid for the first down to clinch it. You never know. So it was a great season by the Browns, but that is a game that's going to stick in the craw of every Cleveland fan who knows they had a chance to take out the champs and they let the opportunity go by.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it quick. Just echo the same sentiment. You missed your opportunity. You know, there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes has a $450 million contract for 13 years, because they expect him to have the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC go through Kansas City regularly. And this was an opportunity with a one-score game and 5 minutes to go to be able to take advantage of a rare opportunity, and they failed to do it. And I don't know if they're ever going to see it again. I hope they do, because man, was it a great story. But that is a tough one to swallow. To the Rams.
Yeah, for me, the image of this game that I think about is Aaron Donald on the sideline, in tears, upset, because this is a generational superstar, future Hall of Famer, and that the rib injury he dealt with didn't allow him to be great, and to know that, again, these opportunities are finite. Once you get to this stage, and to lose a year because your body wouldn't cooperate, you just felt for him. It was a tough day for the Rams and their superstar.
You know, that's how you set a culture, right? You have arguably the best player in football care so much about the game that he commits himself in the offseason, in the preseason, in practice every day, to the point that he's reduced to tears because he felt like he let his teammates down. And you saw what that defense looked like without him. I mean, this is a weird one, because I want to say, okay, could this be a potential? Did the window close, right? Because they went to the Super Bowl in 2018. There's so many questions about the quarterback position. They've got a ton of free agents. Are they going to bring back Whitworth? He's got an $11.2 million option. They've got other free agents on the offensive line. John Johnson's a free agent. Troy Hill's a free agent. But you still have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, right? You still have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Cam Everett. So it's kind of this weird spot where I'm anxious to see what Les Snead and Sean McVay decide to do, and how they either fill those holes or trade away some of those assets to rebuild a lot of the draft picks that they've let kind of slip away to get those cost-controlled players, as they're going to have to figure out how to massage what's going to be a reduced salary cap in the offseason. All right, well, the show is called Power Rankings. So how about some rankings? Which of the 4 teams sports the superior scoring machine? And which is the preeminent force at preventing forward progress? We pick the best offense and the best defense next.
Caught by Diggs, gets a few blocks, and he goes into the end zone. Touchdown! Taron Johnson goes 102 yards with an end zone interception, and the crowd is in celebration mode.
Kelsey dives into the end zone.
Higgins, he fumbles into the end zone. It's a touchback.
3rd and 14. Dives. He's close to a first down.
4th down and inches.
They caught Tyreek Hill and Chad Henne out of the bullpen. It's intercepted. Sean Murphy Button. Touchdown Tampa Bay. It's fumble ball. Picked up by Devin White. Touchdown. It's Leonard Fournette. Picked off by Devin White. We're in business. Touchdown Buccaneers. Tom Brady.
Is this the final time that we're going to watch Drew do this?
Well, again, with limited resources or limited subjects, I should say, to rank, figured we would try to figure out other rankings that we can share here on Power Rankings. So, Dan, we decided to do the offenses and the defenses. And if we were to rank 1 through 4, which unit we think is top of the pops, here are ours. They line up at 1 and 2 with the Chiefs and the Packers, but a little bit of flip there. At 3 and 4, I've got the Bucs offense ahead of the Bills.
Man, you really blew this one. Yeah, I got the Bills at 3 because, Money, I know we haven't seen it through the first 2 games of the playoffs for Buffalo, but I still believe, that dominant stretch to close the season for the offense, that could come out and play in a big spot this Sunday where Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs go nuts together. And they're kind of all bringing it together, and they could put together a 30, 40-point game. I think they still have that ceiling, and I think it lurks within them, and I'm betting that it could come out. That's why they get number 3 for me.
They just haven't run the ball effectively enough for me. I was, believe it or not, I was tempted to put the Bucs at 2 and just kind of avoid the recency bias of what we just watched the Packers do. And the reason is they're just so balanced. They have so many weapons. If I felt like everybody was completely healthy, that Mike Evans, I should say, was at least at like 70%, I probably would have moved them up. I think they have arguably the best offensive line in the playoffs. You saw that. I mean, Tristan Wirfs, if it's not for Justin Herbert, he's got a real shot at Rookie of the Year, is how well he's played at right tackle. The fact that Ronald Jones looked healthy and he was the fresh legs in that second half that helped thwart off any potential Saints attack. So, and then it's Tom Brady, who has looked not like 43-year-old Tom Brady, but 33-year-old Tom Brady. And distributing the ball, he's got the arm strength. I mean, to me, like I said, I was tempted to put them at number 2, let alone just have them ahead of the Bills.
Hey, put some respect on Justin Jefferson's name in the Rookie of the Year conversation, but that's beside the point.
I know. Exactly. No, I mean, look, the Vikings didn't make the playoffs. Herbert broke every quarterback record. It's quarterback league. So, yes, those 3
Jefferson was Randy Moss. But
would be
not
the
what
3.
We're talking about here.
Defensively, though, we have our rankings as well. And here we go. Both of us have the Bucs at 1, the number 1 run defense, solid in that front 7 especially. But from there on out, look at this. You got the Packers all the way down at number 4. I've got them up at number 2. And I'll just start here.
Okay.
The Packers, I think, have a dominant, I shouldn't say dominant, but they are solid at every level. And I think they have the most complementary defense. I love their secondary. Jair Alexander, man, he's a dog at corner. I love first-round pick Darnell Savage from a couple years ago. Adrian Amos, an unrestricted free agency. Kevin King, the other corner. I'm just throwing name soup. That's not what I'm trying to do, but they complement the pass rush of Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark so well. Kenny Clark is not mentioned nearly enough as one of the best interior defensive linemen we have in the league. And I think you saw that this last week. Again, I just said I don't want to have recency bias, but I just like how balanced this particular group is and how well connected they are and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's pretty close, all 4 of these defenses. Many of the quote-unquote elites that we saw entering the playoffs, Washington, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, all like wiped away. And what you're left with is here. And Vita Vea, a guy to keep an eye on as well for Tampa Bay, big-time interior lineman who might be coming back. All right, Money. Now, based on my power rankings, who I think is going to the Super Bowl, I think it's going to be Chiefs-Packers. What's your Super Bowl pick, buddy? What? What? That's not a good pick?
Well, no, I mean, you have it there, Kansas City and Green Bay. I'm going exactly the opposite. I'm going Bills and Bucs, and I'm not doing it to be a contrarian. I just look at, I think Mahomes ain't right. That toe was giving him issues. I was on with Terrell Davis on NFL Network on Sunday, and he's like, man, if that's turf toe, that ain't good. That is going to restrict mobility seriously. So they can tell us all, oh, he's fine. Look at the tweets. He's doing great. The Kansas City O-line ain't all that. Sammy Watkins is their playoff special sauce, and he ain't right. Their secondary has no answer for Diggs. And Josh Allen, this is what I envision, right? I envision Josh Allen. Brian Daboll is like Mick in Rocky, you know? And he's just going to go, no! And Allen's going to run like 15 designed runs in a row, and that's going to be the special sauce there. And then guess what? Tom Brady ain't afraid of no cold. I know he's been in Tampa for the year, but that's a guy that thrives in the cold. He loves the cold. Right. To me, this is the Rams in 2018. The Packers are. You can run outside zone. Everything works off that. The Bucs, you bust that plan up, and it changes that offense completely. And I think with Vita Vea coming back, and that, I think they're going to be able to thwart that rush attack again, take advantage of it, and we're going to have a Bills-Bucs brawl in Tampa for Super Bowl 55.
Now that you've explained to me that Sammy Watkins isn't healthy, what do you see for the Chiefs on offense this week? 3 points, maybe 6. Maybe they get a defensive safety. That's their scoring.
There you go. That's it. They're gonna get 2. I think Mahomes is. You need to have him healthy in these kind of games. All right.
You're right though,
Bills,
Romo.
Bucks. I'm sticking to my story, Samson Simpson.
Right. No, but the gospel of Tony Romo's, who I believe in Tony Romo and his analysis. He was calling it out in that game that toe could be troublesome for accuracy amongst other things and mobility, obviously. But I believe in Patrick Mahomes to overcome.
Bills, Bucks, you heard it here. Up next, off-season storylines. We'll go through them all for the teams that got tossed.
Jackson back to throw, guns it into the end zone, intercepted, and he brings it out, and he's still on the run. He may go all the way. He's at the Baltimore 10, 5, touchdown! Touchdown! Terrence Johnson goes 102 yards with an end zone interception. Touchdown, Buffalo!
All right, Dan, let's get to them. Off-season storylines that we'll likely be hearing about for the next few months.
Yeah, some people call them narratives, and narrative is a dirty word in the NFL now. But you know what? It actually, I believe in narratives because they really do tell the story of what's going on in the league. So here are the obvious emerging offseason storylines and narratives, starting with the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, the Ravens have another disappointing out in the playoffs. So how did the Ravens January-proof their offense? Because I think what happens here, Money, is internally, and what they're going to put out there in the media is this is not a Lamar Jackson problem. He's the MVP. He is a beautiful quarterback, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's our guy. What we need to fix is the scheme. which either means tweaks by Greg Roman or someone else other than Greg Roman calling the plays, which means adding more playmakers on the outside, especially to pair with Hollywood Brown. Fix everything around Lamar, and that will get the Ravens where they need to go. That's going to be the goal and the narrative. All right, let's move on to the next narrative, the New Orleans Saints. Okay, now Drew Brees, 3 turnovers. They go out, and now you have to ask questions. You have to ask questions about Drew Brees, who probably is going to retire. But the whole Saints offense is in a position right now where we have to see what's next. And really the whole team. There is not a lot of salary cap room here. We have some technical difficulties here. Everybody stay right where you are, and we'll be right back after we get this straightened out.
Jackson back to throw. Guns it into the end zone. Intercepted. And he brings it out. And he's still on the run. He may go all the way. He's at the Baltimore 10, 5. Touchdown! Touchdown! Karen Johnson goes 102 yards with an end zone interception. Touchdown, Buffalo!
All right, Dan, so let's get to it. Offseason storylines that we're likely going to be hearing about for a couple of months prior to the 2021 campaign getting started.
Okay, we also call them narratives, and that's become a dirty word in the NFL, especially players. Players hate narratives, and they mention in the media that they don't like them. But guess what? They come from a real place. They come from what we watch on Sunday. So let's dig into them, the narratives that will build throughout the offseason, starting with the Baltimore Ravens. After another disappointing exit in the playoffs, a big narrative will be, how did the Ravens January proof their offense? And I think the Ravens internally are going to continue to think, and there's really not a lot of reason not to get behind Lamar Jackson. He is still the reigning MVP, by the way. So they're going to think it's not a Lamar issue, it's an issue around him. And that means making adjustments to the scheme on offense, maybe even changing out who the coordinator is, Greg Roman, and adding more playmakers to the outside to pair with Hollywood Brown, and hoping updating the forces around Lamar gets Baltimore over the hump.
Yeah, I think you hit it, and I don't want to take anybody's job, but I think it's a new system. You know, they pour so much into running the ball, and when they take it away, they have no answer. I think they need a pass catching back. They keep finding these thumpers. Get a guy, get a third down back. Get someone that's got good hands coming out of the backfield. And also don't forget they're going to have Ronnie Stanley back. So that's going to help a lot come next season, as he's one of the best tackles in the league. Let's go to the Saints. Offseason storyline in New Orleans.
Well, the Saints went all in on 2020. Their spending is at the absolute limit. They're in cap hell, and now they have a 42-year-old quarterback who appears to be heading toward retirement. So now it's like, what do the Saints do now? They got close all these years since that 2009 Super Bowl. They never got over the hump. It looks like Breeze is headed toward retirement. So what does Sean Payton do? Is this a situation where they attempt to reload and keep moving forward with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, or do they enter a bit of a minor, by their standards, rebuild where they try to get things set up for the next 10 years of Saints football? Interesting transition potentially.
Yeah, real quick, I think mine will be the 2022 narrative, and that is, what does Sean Payton do? You know, is Sean Payton connected to New Orleans like Bill Belichick is New England? Does he want to restart this whole thing, clear it all out, and rebuild from the ground? Or is he looking around going, hey, you know, Dallas over here? You know, and whether that will be a legitimate discussion in the future for the Saints. Sean McVay and the Rams.
Yeah, it's all about the quarterback now in Los Angeles. When Sean McVay says to the media right after their loss that Jared Goff is his quarterback right now, and then he gets 24 hours to think it over, and the media asks him again about it, and he says, we're going to explore all of our options everywhere on the field. That doesn't get, in terms of coach speak translated, it doesn't get much more clear than the Rams are looking for a new option at quarterback if they could find a way to make that happen. And that's a pretty big deal because it's not so long ago that they gave Jared Goff superstar money, and now it feels like money. And it was interesting how when they got into a situation with Aaron Donald hurt and they couldn't stop the Packers, a Sean McVay offense that was unable to get into a shootout. I think McVay's sick of that. He wants to get back to being that offense people are scared of.
I'll just add, you said they, and I think that's what Sean McVay's saying in that statement. They gave him $133 million. I could win with anybody, and they chose to pour their resources there, and now that bill's coming due. How about the Seahawks? Let's stay in the same division.
Yeah, so they obviously go out in a very disappointing way. The offense goes down the drain in the second half, and in their playoff loss to the Rams, Brian Schottenheimer pays for it with his job. So you got to find out who's going to be running this offense. There was a report that emerged that Adam Gase was in consideration, which I feel like that was just a joke to get Seahawks fans riled up and to scare Jamal Adams somehow. But it's interesting to me, Money, because they were an elite history-making, potentially, offense in the first half. So instead of trying to figure out how to get back to that point, they just kicked the offensive coordinator out of town. Is that going to fix it, or is there something deeper going on here?
I like some of the names. I love the idea of Doug Peterson there. Getting creative, man. That offense has just felt like it was stuck in 1995. You know, let's freaking speed it up. You got a great quarterback. You got talent all over the place. You saw what Shane Steichen and Pep Hamilton were able to do with Justin Herbert. Get one of those two guys up there. Anthony Lynn. You know, I think that's kind of more thinking of let's continue with what we had going before, you know, as he's a certainly run-heavy offensive mind. So anxious to see what they do.
Pete Carroll then says at the end of the season, we got to run the ball more. That doesn't sound like a team looking to go more up-tempo. Maybe he needs to get out of the way a little bit.
That's Pete Carroll. Let's finish it up in Indy and whether or not you think the Colts bring Phillip Rivers back.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward in Indy. And Money, you are the voice of the Chargers, so you got to watch Rivers for a couple of years as well. He's still a good quarterback, no longer a great quarterback. The Colts have to decide whether he is the dude that can get them over the hump or if it's time to look via the draft or trade to get someone younger in there and more dynamic potentially.
Look, I love Phillip. I love being around him. He's as good a guy as you'll ever meet. Two things, both selfish. One, I'd love to see him go back because I think they were good enough to win, and I think he believes that too. But two, I want him in the booth, man. As someone who's had those football conversations with him, and I've been so lucky to have that, mark my words, he will be every bit as good, if not better, than Tony Romo. He is going to be unbelievable when he gets in that booth, and I'm just hoping that he decides to do it so he can unleash all that football conversation I've seen and heard on the entire country. All right, let's see. These are terrible. We'll get more of those.
There's 8 teams.
We will get more of those when we return. It's constructive criticism next. That's my favorite part of the program, Constructive Criticism, where you get to weigh in on the old Zeusers power rankings. Over the bill. That's weird that the two teams losing this weekend are at the top. Very clever / snarky, Mr. Bill.
Over the bill. I like that too. It could happen. Listen, these are 4 great teams. I do obviously think that it will be the Packers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But would I be stunned if you were right, Money? I would not be stunned. These are great teams.
Because I'm always right. Oh, no, Mr. Bill. All right, let's go. Next bit of constructive criticism from old KP there. Beautiful environmental backdrop there for that avatar. Way to go, quote, out on a limb there. Oh, and you got a guy. Way to go out on a limb there, guy.
The only thing worse is if he said big guy. No, I mean, what do you want? What do you want from me? Honestly, like, am I supposed to bury the defending champs and the awesome Packers just because it will make me edgy? And what does it mean to be edgy when you're the power rankings guy? Relax.
And I slot guy just under turbo for offensive. Oh, look at this. We got the Buccaneers account.
All right.
Posting your power rankings. That's nice. Nice run from the Bucs. Arr. We're going to give you a yawn and then go to sleep there, Senior Zeuser.
Yeah, that's some 23-year-old millennial or whatever is the next level after millennial, getting their buzz out there, using their emojis to connect with the kids.
Not true. That's just not true.
That's fine.
I have it on good authority that their social account is run by a octogenarian that was running security at Del Boca.
Stu.
Next week, we're doing Super Bowl individual awards. Our Super Bowl special will be in the bye week, so come back exactly 1 week from now. Well, actually, a week minus 1 hour from now. Thanks for checking in.